Now, there is no surprise how the mainstream Obama mania media has covered the great debt debate in Washington, from calling the cut, cap, and balance a waste of time to placing all the blame on Republicans if a deal cannot be reached. And here to help us all point out the outrageous examples of liberal media bias in this week's Media Mash is the president of the Media Research Center, the one and only Brent Bozell. All right, Brent, let's go through this in order, because it just lays it out perfectly. All right, first, the Gang of Six deal. That, of course, validates Obama and does what the media wants. It raises taxes. Of course, they're for this. Let's roll the tape.
There are now some Republicans who are willing to back this tough, comprehensive package that not only includes those spending cuts, but also includes this tax reform, which means increased revenues. And that is broadly consistent with what President Obama has long advocated.
This gang of six, these six senators, and the number is growing, their bipartisan framework, the president believes, gives him momentum because it's roughly the same thing he's been pitching, about $4 trillion in deficit reduction, not just spending cuts, but also tax increases. So the president believes this gives a little momentum to his argument as opposed to the Republican argument of no new taxes at all.
All right, now, Brent, hold your comments, because I want to compare right up front the disdain for cut, cap, and balance as a waste of time.
Right now, House Republicans are going to be voting on this balanced budget amendment, trying to get that added to the Constitution. It might even get a vote in the United States Senate, but it has no chance of passage.
Tea Party conservatives love this plan. The president has already said that he's going to veto it. Do we really have time for a plan that is really just show?
No one believes that this has any chance of passing. Therefore, this looks very political. Is that risky for the Republicans in terms of it looking like they're just wasting time?
Why don't they just, I guess Obama just hands out a sheet every day as they're all on the same page.
It is remarkable. The media, you can sense the excitement with this Gang of Six. Non-legislation, by the way, there's no legislation. The Gang of Six proposal, because it includes tax increases, revenue increases, tax increases. This is what they want. But here's the incredible thing. You mentioned, you ran the quote with Chuck Todd saying that this is just a show thing, and Ann Curry says that it's just wasting, CC&B, cut, cap, and balance is just a waste of time. Let me read to you what Harry Reid said on the floor of the Senate today. He said, it's as weak and senseless as anything that has come up on the Senate floor. He went on to call it something he was going to dispose of. He said it is perhaps the worst legislation in the history of this country. They're saying the exact same thing he's saying. One final point, Sean Hannity. On CNN tonight, you've had one report after another talking about how Obama is winning and how people want tax increases. Let me show you something. On the CNN poll, one thing no one on CNN is mentioning is that question number 23. Do you want cut, cap, and balance? 66% of the American people want it. Question number 25. Do you want a balanced budget amendment? 74%. This is CNN's own poll, and they're not reporting it tonight. They're reporting tax increases.
Amazing. Cut, cap, and balance. By the way, we're on the verge of becoming Greece, so we'll cut spending, we'll cap spending, and we'll have a balanced budget amendment. The public supports it. But now the next phase of this is if there's no deal, this is the president's talking point. Who do we blame? We blame the Republicans. Let's roll the tape.
I think the idea of a big agreement, a big grand deal that would involve big spending cuts over 10 years, I don't think that's going to happen. And that really centers around the fact that Republicans will not raise taxes in any way, shape, or form. And the president's only going to do so much in terms of spending cuts if it doesn't involve tax increases.
Where are the concessions that the Republicans are willing to make? I heard the president just this week saying, yeah, he'd be willing to talk about means testing for people on Medicare. I don't hear any concessions from people on the other side. They just say no taxes.
All right, now here, I mean, could it be any more obvious?
No. Sean Hannity, Bob Schieffer ought to go work for MoveOn.org. This is pathetic. The entire debate is one grand concession by the Republicans. The Republicans don't want $2.3 trillion more in spending. This is something they're having to swallow. Rand Paul was very good on your show last night telling this story. It's been one huge concession by the Republicans, and Bob Schieffer knows that. That's such political posturing. I'm disgusted by these people, utterly disgusted.
Now, here we have a president, $1.65 trillion in new debt. this year alone, his deficit this year. You know, by the end of this fiscal year, we have nearly over $4 trillion in Obama debt. $4 trillion. He hasn't even had a full term. And if anyone dares to bring up his bills passed, his budgets passed, his stimulus spending, his health care, his broken promises on cutting the deficit in half, all these things, it's unreasonable to say that this is Obama spending. Watch this from CNN.
Our friend President Obama has said he won't try and solve the problem he created with his spending unless people give him more money.
What do you mean he created with his spending? You didn't just suggest that our budget problem is because of President Obama, did you, Grover? Are we in this debt situation because of the Obama administration, Grover?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you
notice the $800 billion? Because that's an unreasonable position.
It was his bill, his Democratic Congress, his stimulus, his health care. How is it not his problem? How is it not his fault?
Do the math. He came to office in 2009, $14.3 trillion or $10.5 trillion in debt. It is now $14.3. If he gets this debt increase, it's going to go over $16 trillion. He's responsible for half the debt in this country. That's the math.
That's the math. All right. Amazing. It just flowed perfectly tonight. Brent Bozell, always good to see you.
Thank you.
Let not your heart be troubled. When we come back, our great American panel is next.